YouTube channel. So today we're going to be learning how to make Meringue Buttercream. It's another option of frosting aside the regular whipped cream that I use all the time. If there are some things you need to understand about Meringue Buttercream, you know, it's just typically egg whites, the unsalted butter, the sugar, the salt, and the vanilla flavor for enhancement. So it's just basically 5 ingredients. You need to understand that there is a stage where it's the beating stage, where it's the whipping stage, and the cooking stage. So the cooking stage involves using pure egg whites with no single iota of egg yolks in it. This is the part that I find painstaking the most and not interesting, because of the fact that it's successful enough to break up almost the quantity you need, and you have a tiny bit of egg yolk drop in it. You need to find a way to get that out 100%, or you need to start all over again. So that's why some people have, there's this egg separator, but I don't even have that because I don't make Meringue Buttercream all the time. So I just improvise by breaking my egg into 2 parts and then separating the yolk from the white. So this is what we have here. We have just the white, so there's no yolk because it's a meringue, and you know how meringue is always achieved from egg whites. So if you have any bit of yolk in it, like I said earlier, it is not going to hold up, it is not going to get stiff, and it's going to be a total flop. The second red flag is if you mistakenly have any grease in your equipment. So for this one now, before you work with any equipment with a Swiss meringue, you need to make sure that it is very, very clean and has no bit of oil in it, and that's inclusive of the bowl you're going to be working with. I'm working with a metal bowl, which is actually better because of the fact that I'm going to be cooking over the heat like a double boiler, and then of course the what is it called, the wire whisk that I'm going to be using to turn it frequently for the few minutes that I'm going to be cooking this too. If my recipe doesn't even require a thermometer to check with the heat temperature of the egg and the sugar, all you need to do is put a timer to 10 minutes to cook through, and then as soon as you put a bit of the egg white and the sugar mixture on the tip of your finger, and you know, try and feel the texture, and you don't feel any grains anymore, and it is not hot to touch, that is just the perfect temperature. So you don't need any thermometer, and that's another win-win for my recipe. So yeah, inclusive of all the wire whisk that's going to be used to whip up the meringue, the cooked meringue, the cooked sugar and egg white mixture into the meringue, you know, state. The wire whisk is also going to have no oil whatsoever, and the bitter as well. So this is what I do. So in case you are not sure if you have any grease in your equipment, make sure that you just get like a bowl of hot water. You just put all your equipment into it, add a little bit of lime or lemon juice. You know how that is acid, or vinegar, white vinegar. So throw that into the hot water or warm water as the case may be, and give it a quick shake, and then you're sure that every kind of oil or grease attached to it is going to come off, and then you're sure that you're not going to have any feel. So what I'm going to do now is just give a quick run on the measurements, and then I'll show you the practical aspect. So first of all, you need 16 egg whites for 1 batter. So this recipe, this Swiss meringue whites, like large egg whites, basically 16 eggs that you separated the yolks apart from the whites. For you to have, you know, there are diverse recipes that you can use your egg yolks for. Just pop that into a bowl and wrap up with cling film and pop in the freezer. When any recipe comes as into mind for you to use cookies or anything that you don't need whites for, you can just bring it out, okay, and just scale it, and then but you definitely have to bring it back to room temperature so that you don't have to trash it. So you can pop it in the freezer for as long as you want, as long as you have a working freezer. So yeah, you're going to use 16 egg whites already separated as seen in this video to make this faster. You're going to be needing 5 blocks of the 200 grams of the unsalted sugar, of the unsalted butter, or salted butter, because you need to control the taste that is going, because it shouldn't have an overwhelming salty taste, you know, because when it's salted you can't really control the quantity of salt in the product. So make sure it's an unsalted butter, so then you can now put the quantity of salt that is ideal, so that you are sure of the result every time. So this is already the 5 blocks. That's about 1,000 grams. Yes, 1,000 grams of the unsalted butter, but you know my blocks is 200 grams, so I used 5 already chopped into tiny squares, so that it will be easier for me to use and it will be easy to dissolve into the meringue. And then you're going to be using 3 cups of granulated sugar. It's not confectioner's sugar, it is the typical granulated sugar, because you need the structure, and the granulated sugar gives a better structure, and you know you're not going to end up with any heavy bit of meringue, because here it's meringue, so you need granulated sugar, so you can see it gives it structure. And then you're going to be needing just 1 teaspoon of salt at the end of the preparation, and then you're needing 1 tablespoon of vanilla flavor. It's not optional, it's very important. So that's, but another thing about it is, before we go ahead, is don't have the perception that it's going to smell eggy or anything. It's certainly not going to smell eggy, because you know how it is the egg yolks that contributes to that awful smell that comes with eggs. So egg whites come with no smell whatsoever, so definitely you're not going to end up with a batter that's going to be eggy or smelly or anything. This is just an enhancement. Of course, it gives you a boost in flavor. So what we're going to be doing now is, I'm going to be putting the egg whites into this metal bowl now. And how you cook this over the heat is, you need to get a pot that is bigger than this bottom, depending on your bowl, and make sure that the bottom part of your mixing bowl doesn't touch the water. That is like a double boiler style. So I will show you when we get to the kitchen. I put a pot over the heat, over medium heat of simmering water. So I will now pour the egg whites with the sugar, give it a quick whip, like mix together, take it to the kitchen, and then place it just directly on the pot. The water is going to be there, but you have to make sure that the water, no matter how bubbly it becomes, it doesn't touch the bottom part. Why? Because you don't want that intensity of the heat to touch it and to get it unnecessarily hot or heated. So you have to, before you start, you put your pot into your mixing bowl into the pot to see if the water touches. If the water touches, you just simply need to reduce the water that you have in the pot before you go ahead. And then we're going to be cooking that, whisking it frequently for about 10 minutes. So what I do is I set up my timer to make sure that I don't lose track. I cook that through for 10 minutes, and then we'll come back while it is still in that heated state. I put the whisk attachment into the mixing, into the machine, into the mixer, and then I will leave that to whip up for at least 15 minutes. So it goes through a process of working out the whipping process, works out the heat, and then of course it brings out the meringue. So that's why it takes time. So when you're working with your Swiss meringue, basically you can do other things as long as it's whipping. Set up your timer to make sure that at the mark of 15 minutes, then you come back and then you start adding the butter in bits. So it's as simple as that. Add the butter in bits, in a little bit at a time, till everything is incorporated. But at the time when you want to add the butter, you're going to take out the wire whisk and you're replacing it with the paddle attachment, so that at that point you start beating the butter in so that you don't over whip the mixture. When you're done adding all of the butter into it, all you need to do is just to then add your 1 tablespoon of vanilla flavor, as well as your 1 teaspoon of the table salt, the regular table salt, and then you just beat it for about another 1 to 2 minutes, and then you're done. So let's start now. So what I'm doing now, like I said, is to add the egg whites into the bowl. That's what I'm doing now. And then the sugar is already pre-measured, 3 cups, like I said, all goes in. This. And then just give it a quick mix together. This is what it looks like. Okay, so I'm taking this into the kitchen now. I'll show you what it is like to use a double boiler style of heating or cooking the sugar and the egg. Now this is the pot with the simmering water. You can see that the quantity of the water is not even up to halfway. So like I said earlier, I'll pop this over it like this, and I'm bringing it back out. See that it's not touching. See, there is no water. If it touches it, then you need to reduce the quantity of the water, but right now it is just perfect. So you can see this is what a double boiler style of melting chocolate or anything cooking is. The smaller pots, or like the bigger pot with the bowl over it. So you need to do this. This is the part that is most important in the preparation of this Swiss meringue buttercream, because you need to keep mixing this frequently. You know what you are doing is you are deflating the elasticity of the egg white as seen, because at the time it is cooked through, it's not going to be elastic anymore. You are deflating the elasticity of the egg white, and then you are trying to blend it in to cook properly with the granulated sugar, so you don't have grains of sugar in it. So I'm going to be doing this for the next 10 minutes. Can you see what it looks like? It looks frothy on the surface, and then you can see that there isn't any bit of elasticity again. And this is the finger test. All you need to do is take some like this and just rub it between your fingertips, and you can see that it is smooth and not grainy, and then it is not hot. Obviously I'm just taking it in and I'm touching it, so it's not hot. It's warm, it's heated, but it's not extremely hot. So yeah, that's the timer that just went off. So that is the timer for the 10 minutes I put it on. So I will turn off the heat now. I'm taking it out from the pot. Now what is happening now is the steam that has come from the water in the pot, not like it touched it. So we have the pot ready, and this is what it looks like. So it looks frothy like this. See, so we're going to be going ahead to take it back to the baking room now to whip it up for the next 15 minutes. The better light, you can see what it looks like. You can see that there is still a whole lot of heat trapped in, but you will still go ahead to whip this. Remember I told you that you work with this right from the heated point until it gets to normal temperature. There are a few troubleshooting hacks for you, should in case you end up with a soupy or the consistency that you feel that, like if it curdles, for instance, now, like if your mixture curdles, for instance, what you do is to just pop it into the freezer for about 1 minute or two, just to get rid of some of the heat that has been trapped in to make it curdle, and then you come back to keep whipping until you get to your satisfied, or to the satisfactory smooth result you're supposed to have. So right now I'm going to start whipping it on high speed, so I'll show you the progress report maybe after about 5 minutes, and then I'll show you when it's done to save up some time. So I'm turning the mixer on now. Okay. Like after whipping up for about 15 minutes, so for you to know, see, is I'm going to start adding the butter in bits, so everything is well incorporated. Note that I'm not using melted butter. Note that the butter is still a bit solid but not rock hard, very close to room temperature, but it's a bit colder because this is still a little bit heated, so you have like a perfect balance. So what I will just do is, normally in no particular order, I just let me open it up first so you can have better. So you just take it a little bit at a time like this. So like this now. Initially it will look like it is a bit soupy. That is because it's just the beginning stage. Note that the major ingredient, or should I say the major component of this Swiss meringue that aids stability is the butter. We all know butter does in a recipe. It aids firmness. So the more you put, definitely not overboard. The more you put, the more it comes up in volume and the more stable it's going to become. This is just gentle. So all you just need to do is in batches like this. Keep adding this. The butter now. You can already see what it looks like. Remember we started off with the make and it looks like it was not going to hold up. Can you see now? So what I want to do is I want to turn it off and then scrape the sides to make sure everything is well blended. Okay. Because you can see already we're not done at all, because all the clumps of butter have to be thoroughly blended in. I just added that one. See, I still have the lumps of butter, but you can see already that it's stable. See, but we're not done. So I'm going to let this run for. See, that's why I told you that when you're working with Swiss meringue, you can do other stuff while you are working on it. So you don't need to stand by it or keep watching closely. As long as you can set your timer. So for this one now, I'm going to set a timer for about 10 minutes to just allow it to get well blended so that I don't have clumps of butter bits inside the mix. It's supposed to be squeaky, it's supposed to be thoroughly smooth, because you don't want lumps of butter appearing on the sides of your cake. So I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, but when everything is well blended in, that is only when I would add the salt and the vanilla flavor, because that's just the last part of the mixing. So what I'm doing now is being done. So I will now add the 1 teaspoon of salt just into it like this, so you can blend it properly whilst it's still mixing in. And in the same vein, I will add the 1 tablespoon of vanilla flavor. Gets rid of any odorants you want to get rid of. None of pleasant, but I mean the flavor enhancement like I said earlier. So what I'm going to do now is to cut short this video and just give you and let you know how to store it. We're almost done. But the thing about it is, let me tell you, we're almost done. Well, in any case, this is what it's going to look like. Now, I need to let you know the storage information so that you don't get that wrong. So this is what it looks like now. See? See how it holds up on the paddle attachment. So typically, for your Swiss meringue, you keep mixing. The longer it stays, the better result you're going to get, basically. I still have some clumps of butter in mine, but I'm just going to keep mixing this behind camera. I want to end the video. I'm sure you get the idea. So see what the stability looks like. And this is the kind of Swiss meringue that you use, or typical with all Swiss meringue anyway, the type that can hold up nicely around the sides when you're slapping around the sides of the cake, and then it gets hard, solidifies when you put it in an intense cold temperature like a freezer. So for the storage, like this now, this is perfectly good. Remember that it's egg whites and not the yolks that aid edibles to go bad. What you do with this one is, because of the fact that when you pop it in an extremely cold temperature, it solidifies, you might just want to use a cling film to wrap up the surface to make sure you don't have external moisture coming into it to make it go bad. And then you can let it sit at your room temperature. As long as your environment is not too heated, you can sit at normal room temperature for at least 3 days. So if you are not done with it today, if you pick it up the next day, it's not going to go bad. But if you need to keep it for about, some people make it in large batches. If you need to keep it for about 2 weeks, a month, I'd advise that you do the same thing I just said now. Wrap it up. You can portion into smaller quantity, like in smaller containers, and then wrap up with your cling film. Pop it into the freezer at that time. You're going to end up with a rock hard result when you need it. But anytime you are needing it, you just bring it out a day before, so that it can have like a natural process of thawing, so that it can come back to the original, temperature it's supposed to be. But before you use it at that time, you're going to have to rebeat it. Basically, pour it back into the bowl and just give it like a boost, so that it feels like you incorporate some air inside of it again, so that it will be easy to work with. That way, if you have leftovers, you don't have to trash them. Like me now, when I'm concocting with my Swiss meringue, I always portion it separately, because it's not very friendly with crumbs. If you have any little bit of crumb in this, it can ruin the entire thing. So you have to take it a little at a time, so that whatever is left of it, you can keep it and still have good use of it later. Remember, it's actually not very cost friendly, so you have to do the best you can. As much as you're giving your clients the best, you need to make sure that you're not wasting. You have to factor that into whatever you're doing whilst you're storing it too. So today, I forgot to mention, if you watched up until this point, this is the end part of the video anyway. Let me know in the comment box by dropping Swiss meringue buttercream, or just put SMBC in the comment box. Don't forget to give me a super thanks using the icon below if you found this video helpful. If you want to encourage your favorite baker girl and just support me in your own little way. So till next time, guys, I will probably have a video illustration of how I work with this if time permits me. But in the meantime, whatever technique you use in spreading is just perfect. Whatever you use, however you work with your whipped cream, is the same approach you're going to be using with this buttercream, as well as your American buttercream as well. So this is just a recipe. The application video might come or might not come, I don't know, but let's stay close, guys. I'm just going to stay close and encourage your favorite baker girl. So till next time, I remain your favorite baker girl, Finish Dessert View. And sly and gourmet.